Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Ryan Fenners. Welcome back to the Fentertainment channel. On today's video, we're going to be making a stovetop cover board, otherwise known as a noodle board. Now, this past Christmas time of 2019, I made about 35 within a week and a half, and I had a friend of mine that was doing the personalization work, and she was selling these boards for us. But I'm going to show you in this video how you can make the entire stovetop cover with one 1x6 by 12 foot board instead of using multiple boards like some videos on here as well. I'm gonna go step by step and show you everything that I do to make my boards and maybe give you some tips and tricks along the way. Stay tuned. Now when I'm making my boards, my first cut's gonna be 30 inches wide. So I wanna go ahead and measure the stop here 30 inches away from the blade side here. Every time we make a cut, it's going to be 30 inches wide, and we want all four cuts 30 inches wide and match as perfectly as possible. As you can see here, we're almost at 30. We're going to leave it right there. So once you have all four boards cut, you can have one left over. This board here is going to be roughly 24 inches. This one's 24.5 inches. We're going to cut this board down to 22 inches long here before we rip it on the table saw. Now, as you can tell by cutting it the way we did, each board is just about the same length. And the board we cut for the 22 inches wide fits here perfectly. However, we're going to make two boards out of this one board here by ripping it on the table saw. Now, since this board here is 5.5 inches wide this way and 22 inches long this way, we're going to rip this board in half. Now, by doing that, I'm going to do a rip measurement of 2 5/8. All right, so this is the entire 1x6 by 12 board that we started with here. These pieces here, 22 inches long. We ripped them down to 2 5/8 inches wide. This is four 30-inch long by the standard 1x6, or actually 1 by 5.5 inch boards. By doing it this right here way, this was the only trash that we had left over from ripping these two boards, and this is the only trash we have left over from chopping all the boards off to the required length. So I did it this right here way so we save money. So one board at Lowe's for $15 versus 2 or 3 boards like other YouTube videos are showing. So I wanted to make that there. The more money you save, the more money you make if you're planning on selling these boards. Once I have everything the way I like it here, I like to use 2 long clamps. We're not going to be clamping them tight, and we're not going to be gluing these boards together long ways like this right here. Basically, we're just doing this to hold the boards together. Now I'm putting 2 clamps on here. Just like that. The reason I'm doing that is I'm using a rubber mallet here, and I want to get all of my ends as perfectly as I can on both sides of the noodle board. Now we need to work with the outside portions of the noodle board. Now what I'm using here is these 2 side pieces. Which side do I want to leave up? Which side do I want to leave down? This board here is pretty straight, it's pretty flat. No worries on that. I'm gonna just do it either way. I'm gonna probably throw this side right here up in that corner there. Now to mainly attach this, we're gonna be using just your regular wood glue, and we're gonna be using some 18 gauge brad nails, 1.25 inches long. We place the side to the noodle board over here, line it up with your fingers, and we're going to use the brad nail from the bottom. Now when I'm attaching these side pieces here to the bottom of the board running that way, I like to put one in the front here of each board. And then on my way back, I like to put one in the back of each board to keep this right here board down. Now we're going to repeat the same exact process for the other side. So as you can tell, this is flipped upside down as there's the side pieces there. Once I get to this step, I like to add a few more brad nails just to keep it secure while we finish doing some work to the board before we just let it sit up and dry. So now you can leave the boards pretty much like they are, or what I like to do is sand all the corners and make everything nice and smooth. Now, by doing it, you can use a regular hand sander, you can use an orbital sander, a square sander, or what I like to start with here is just a compact router. Now this router here, I'll place links in the description where you can find it, but it has a 1/4 inch roundover bit. On the roundover bit, it has a bearing here that which slides against the wood or the surface that you're going to be cutting, and it makes for saving so much time. Let's get started. So next up, I like to go ahead and start doing my finish sanding. I'll start with 80 grit, and that's to knock all the edges down that the router wasn't able to get, and also the corners. Then I like to go over the whole board with 120 grit and finish it off with 240 grit. Now you don't have to do these two stages here. If you want to just sand the corners down with 80 and then stain it the way it is, or paint it the way it is, that's up to you. I just think by sanding it down, it makes the boards feel a little bit more done in the very end. All right, so these are the handles I'll be using here. This is a 5-inch wide handle with a 3-inch hole opening here from side to side. You can buy these in the big box stores. They're about $3, $4 a piece. I buy them in a group package off of Amazon. I'll place the link below here where you can find them if this is your style here. And I'm paying about $29 for a box of 30. I'm using a Craig jig. This jig here is in correlation with these right here. So this is a 3-inch opening here. I have the jig set to 3 inches there. On the back here, I have it set for the center of the board here. Now I have it centered. I use the drill bit and drill down and get my perfect 3-inch hole each time. Now we're done and just ready for paint or stain. Alright guys, for this project we're going to be using this Minwax wood finish. It's a penetrating stain. It's ebony, it's real dark. Seems like everybody that I've sold these boards to, they've wanted a real dark looking stain. So that's why we went and chose that. First step to doing this is get on some good gloves. Don't buy the cheap ones. Sometimes the stain will tear the gloves. I don't like that. And I don't like going to work or out in public with a bunch of stained up fingers. It's usually hard to wash off. So go ahead and put some gloves on. I'm gonna get this right here stain mixed up and we're gonna start applying it. Now when you're mixing stain, don't shake it up. That induces bubbles into the stain. I have an old paintbrush I was gonna throw away, but I've decided to use it over and over as a mixing stick. Now once I have the stain mixed up the way I want it, I just take an old rag here, I dip it in here, and I run with the grain. Now I'll start with the back first. I don't like to leave the back undone, it just looks undone. So I want to go ahead and stain the entire back and then we work our way to the sides and to the front. Alright guys, so the stain has been on here for about 24 hours now. It's dry to the touch. And what I like to do before I place these handles on is go over the entire board with polycrylic. Polycrylic is a water-based protective coating. I like to use the clear satin so it keeps on with this rustic look. It's not going to be all shiny, but you could do yours however you want to do it. Two reasons why I like to use this polycrylic on my boards. Number one is if you're going to use this as a serving tray and you place like a glass on here, it's not going to mess up the wood and soak down into the wood, and you'll see that later on after it dries and everything. Another thing is if some of my customers want a monogram with a sticker on it, the oils from the stain usually prevents the stickers from sticking down all the way. And if you apply this polycrylic to the stovetop cover here, the sticker really sticks down to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna wipe this right here onto this board. Now when this stuff goes on here, it goes on with a white and hazy look. It usually takes about 35 minutes to an hour to fully cure. I think the can says 2 hours, but temperature plays a big deal in this. If it's real cold outside, it usually takes a little bit longer. Or if it's kind of warm, it might not take as long. All right guys, so the last step of the process is to install these handles. Now we got some screws out here, and inside of this handle kit that I've been ordering on Amazon, they've been sending us 2 packages of screws. Each handle comes with 2 smaller screws. I think these are 1 inch long, and it comes with these right here, which is 1 3/4 inches long. Now in order to put the handles through 2 of the board stacked together here, we're gonna have to use these 1 3/4 inch long screws to place the handles on. Let's get started. Wow, check out that relic. It's been a long time since I've made that video. I'll put a link above to show you how I made this. All right guys, there you go. This is your finished noodle board or rustic stovetop cover. The handles makes a great touch. Number 2 is the board is gonna be left plain in this video. The person that I built this board for has not let us or let my partner know what kind of stencil they want or monogram for their stovetop cover. If you want to check out some of the other stovetop covers that we did over Christmas from 2019, I'll put my friend's link in the description below, and you can check out her Facebook page. Alright guys, so that pretty much wraps it up. Be sure to subscribe to the Fentertainment channel if you haven't already. Smash the like button and share this video with a friend. And until next time guys, we'll see you later.